How hard did you push it? Till I black out? Yes. Numerous times, yes.
What's happening, Municipals? This is your boy, Big C. I have a really special guest. So this is going to be kind of equipment corner with Fitter Big C. A little different than what you guys get with our course reviews and us talking about public tracks, but really excited to have our guest on. He's been in the industry, came from where I came from, club champion, went into work with LA Golf for a while, and he's now with VA Composite Shafts. Our friend of the podcast, Tyler Cleland. How's it going, my man?
Things are good. Can't complain. You know, I've been now with VA for about 6 months, working with Victor Fable, and who's to me a legend in the industry. Luckily enough, I got to work with two other legends, Jeff Meyer and Pete Sanchez, at least on the shaft side of the business at LA Golf. And then, like you said, before that, I was with Club Champion, work at the home office, headquarters with another, Nick Sherburne, the infamous, the famous, whatever you want to call him. No, and played golf with him a couple of times, man. The guy's great. He knows his stuff. And, I've been, really lucky in this business. And before that worked kind of part-time at a golf course, trying to figure out what my next step in life was. And I worked at a Donald Ross course that was owned and managed by the McCumber family, who are, Mark McCumber was on the tour back in the 80s. Josh is his nephew, played a couple of, big tournaments and stuff like that. So I've been surrounded in some wealth of knowledge with some people that, I couldn't have made up this story and wrote the book. So I'm so excited to sit here with you and talk shop and golf itself.
So, was it in Chicago? Was the course in Chicago?
It actually wasn't. It was in Hollywood, Florida. So I was a stay-at-home dad. And I was next to a Donald Ross course built in like 1923, I think it was. And I was basically working on Sunday afternoon because nobody wanted to work on Sundays during football season. So I worked for like 4-hour shift and got to play some free golf and kind of really got into the golf industry and understood what was going on. I was a baseball guy, growing up. I loved the sport of golf and didn't really get a chance to play it until basically, probably my mid 30s consistently. So getting a chance to play some free golf and be around some golf people and golf minds kind of really, sparked this. And, then I moved to Chicago and then worked at a golf course there briefly, realized they didn't want to do the golf course thing. The GM route or things like that. And luckily enough, Club Champion was on the up and up and growing and expanding. And, I kind of helped grow their business in different aspects. I did everything from, help build the call center that they have now that, is healthily staffed and then did shipping, receiving, you name it, did recruiting. So got a good glimpse into, the equipment side, which I was blown away with. I had no idea that there was this many shafts and grips and heads. And so it was eye-opening for me, for sure.
Yeah, when you said course and I knew you worked for Club Champion at headquarters, I thought it was Ravislow.
Oh no, I wasn't lucky enough for that one.
Yeah, I thought it was Ravislow because that's the only Donald Ross out in Chicago. So, but you came from Club Champion, and then you were saying kind of off air. Nick Sherburne kind of introduced you to the LA Golf guys, so that kind of led you into a trajectory to kind of where you're at now. So, kind of speak on a little bit of like your transition from behind the scenes at Club Champion doing stuff to being kind of thrown in there with LA Golf as a up and coming company?
Yeah, it was March 2020 or February 2020, and we were looking to make this move to California. And I kind of, Nick and I, had a couple conversations, and finally was like, hey, I'd love to stay. And at that time, there wasn't anything for me, and LA Golf was looking at kind of pushing their brand, and because I had kind of worked in so many different aspects of Club Champion, I worked with a lot of the fitters, ops, purchasing, everybody. Nick put a great word in for me with the guys at LA and said, hey, this guy, knows the people here and can navigate the system. And, LA Golf was looking for somebody to kind of support that brand, knowing that, when I started in 2018, there was 34 locations. When I left March of 2020, there was 74, another 15 on the docket to be opened, and then today there's 140 plus domestically. So I was hired, or I was, brought over to LA Golf to come and help manage that and help get that off the ground. And it worked. I hate to be like, hey, it was kind of right place, right time. But, I worked with the guys at, the fitters, that I became friends with. And so I was working with my friends at LA Golf as well as working with my friends at Club Champion, and kind of worked and kind of springboarded LA Golf, shafts onto the scene. And, from there we made multiple, decisions of like buying, sick, putters. So I helped with that. And then we launched our own putters at LA Golf and helped support that. And when I started at LA Golf, there was 150 fitters, maybe 100, somewhere in there. And, today there's 350 fitters. So, it's nice for, I think, you guys out in the field to have a lifeline, to have someone understand kind of what you're going through. I'll be completely honest. I'm not a fitter. I'm not a guru when it comes to the numbers and stats. I could fit you, but I understand this business. I understand the aftermarket side of the business. I understand, what Nick Sherburne's looking for, what Club Champion needs to be successful. And so that's what's made me successful. And the people that I've worked with. That's why I'm sitting here talking to you today. So, in again, right place, right time. And it's kind of been a crazy ride for myself, getting into the golf industry and kind of quickly, getting into the point where working with some amazing people and amazing companies.
Yeah, I know me and producer Jack of the pod, who also is a fitter down in San Carlos. I know we've really respected kind of the rapport that we've been able to create with you. And I know this is the first time I've actually had a face-to-face with you, but we've talked through email a lot when you were with LA and now with VA Composite. And, I think the one thing that we look for as a fitter is responsive answers and getting the information that we need and getting reliable information on a regular basis. And I think you're one of a very, very small handful of reps that we deal with that we have very strong direct contacts with. And it helps us on an immense level as a fitter to be able to reach out and ask questions or just get updates on new product coming in on a regular basis where we don't have to reach out and get that information. And we really respect it. I think I don't want to for everybody, but
I think it's I've always said, hey, I'm a lifeline, and I understand what you guys deal with from a customer basis, because I deal with the customers too. My customers range from direct to consumer, or used to for the most part, to the fitters who are who our customer. But VA is our biggest customer. You guys are the most important. You are a lifeline. You are selling our product for us, and we need to support you. And so that's what I'm there for. And so understanding the insides and outs of Club Champion, or some of the other outfits, or even the OEM business and how that operates is it took me a minute. I kind of invented a role and kind of ran with it and learned as I went. But I think that this business has changed drastically in the last 15 years. Myself being in it for now 6-7 years. everybody's opening up, fitting locations, and everybody's a guru in this. But Club Champion set the standard to what should be expected when you go in for a fitting and what's available for you. So, but you're still out on an island, working for a corporate, a big company like that and being corporate. So I'm here to help and guide and give answers. If I don't know the answer, I'm the first one to say, hey, I'll get back to you.
Yeah, I mean, it really, really does help us out. And I mean, it also, allows us when you're at VA, when you're at LA Golf, I think us as fitters, we try not to be biased. We're not trying to be biased toward things, but there are equipment out there that just works for a majority of guys. And I think one thing, working with you and also seeing kind of what the product was created when you were with LA Golf, and I'm excited to hear kind of what's coming via VA that was just announced on Instagram. And I think the expansion of iron shafts for you guys is going to be huge because I see graphite as the only option going forward in irons. I don't see a reason why you would put steel in irons anymore. Well, I think the technology is getting there. I think in the next 2 to 3 years, I think it will be where we need it to be. The heavier weights still need to be worked out and be integrated into people's lines. But the reliability, the dispersion, everything that you're looking for, you can get with the multi-materials that you guys are using. And I think LA Golf, and I'm going to give them a little bit of kudos here, probably was one of the big reasons that people started paying attention to graphite in irons.
Yeah, I think that the L series, the 120s that we came out with, and I think it was end of 21, early 22, really kind of went into a space that was very limited. I think you had the MMTs, and very limited graphite at that weight. And now since then, the Axiom and a few others, are coming. And again, no spoiler, but, we dropped on Instagram. We're launching a 120 Sinister SNX. So that was one of my biggest pushes when I came on. I knew that worked really well for the fitters and for the guys that wanted something for the heavy hitters, the faster swing speeds, and I knew that would work and that would go into a space that needed more competition. And I'm a firm believer that in the next 5 to 10, definitely 15 years, that almost everybody will be playing graphite, if not on the tour. Most people, these guys that are on the tour now, don't want to switch. They've been playing the same thing forever. These juniors and kids coming up that have had more options and more availability for, fun stuff, different stuff, fittings at their access. It's going to happen, and it's happening already. Club Champions help that. The aftermarket shaft world has changed, for irons quickly. Steel's not cheap anymore either. So, you're not buying steel because it's cheaper. You're getting what's fit for you based on your numbers. So I'm so excited to see what's out there and what's available, in the next 5 to 10 years, and what's going to transform. Maybe even the PJ Tour. I think it'll definitely happen on the senior tour. It's already happened. Even a couple other guys are playing the LA Golf stuff out there, which was great to see. And I'll plug Bryce in here. I respect everything that Bryce has said, what he does on the golf course. It's been amazing. The graphite's not for old people. So, him playing graphite irons for the last, I think 6, 7, 8 years tells you right there that it's not meant for the old people. And that discussion is needs to go away, in my opinion.
we use him as a reference in fits every single day because, when I bring the first graphite option out to a guy that hasn't been fitted in 10 years, 8 years, the first thing that goes in their mind is it's whippy, it's for ladies, it's for old people. And then I go, Bryson is probably got the fastest professional swing speed out of any person that's ever played golf professionally. And Bryson plays graphite in 14 clubs, including his putter. Mm-hmm. So if a guy, and then I also tell people, if they can make a driver shaft swing and be okay at 130 club head speed, I think we're good at 90.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You have to explain it to people that way. And then all three of us fitters in my store, we all play graphite in all 14 of our clubs.
Nice.
Not one of us have a steel option in our bag. And every person that's on this podcast that does this, there's 5 of us. We all play graphite all 14 of our clubs. So I'm a big believer in it. I have strong opinions on it. And if you're fit by me, I'm going to put steel options in there. But like you were saying, Oban is at $140 with build costs for a shaft. Like,
right.
Modus, which is a really popular stock shaft, but with build costs on the aftermarket side and everything, you're 20%, 30% away from what a graphite option is going to be. So we're talking a couple $100 difference with most graphite options now. So, I explained it to people like when big screen TVs came out 25 years ago, we paid $8,000 for a 60-inch plasma. Now you can go into Walmart and buy a 75-inch for $385. So it's going to get there. I think it's the technology that you guys are putting into these shafts and the materials that you're putting into the shafts are not cheap. But I think there's going to be ways to create production that's going to probably cheapen the way that they're manufactured, which gives you guys a better margin to kind of get the cost down eventually.
Well, I mean, I've seen it already. I've seen it, working for LA Golf, where we were manufacturing stuff in-house, getting the materials from overseas and doing it all in front of me. It is very labor intensive. It's not a quick process, but you get better and better at it. And steel is, like I said, steel itself is getting more expensive. So in the end, it's almost, it's not a wash yet, but, give it another 3 to 4 to 5 years. It's not going to be stock option for steel is not going to be a stock option anymore. It's going to be an upcharge too. Everything's getting more expensive, as we know. But it's really cool to see that the graphite has changed. And I'll even kind of pivot. And you said 14 clubs, then there's this crazy thing that happened in 2020, in my opinion, where Ricky Fowler put a graphite putter shaft, in his putter during a round at Seminole, where there was like the match or something like that. And, kind of springboarded, education or at least awareness of a putter shaft, which kind of blew me away. And it was like, well, exactly. Why would I not want one? Or why would I not want something that's better than steel? And that's really kind of taken over the putter world and adding to that from, a graphite shaft to breakthrough technology, to Stroke Lab, TPT with lab putters. And so everybody's kind of hopped on board on that world. And like you said, as a fitter, I'm a huge proponent of getting fit for your putter. So in making the putter your best club in the bag. So if you have to add a 300 or 200 or whatever, an upgraded shaft to your putter, do it today, before you get off this call, because that's the most important club in your bag. Did I lose you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I got you. We got a little fuzzy there, but we got you. I mean, aftermarket putter shafts, I think, is a big component for us as fitters now. because we do get so many stock putters that guys come in and fit, and their putter is fine for them other than maybe weight. They have issues with lag putting. They have issues in certain aspects, but when we put them on Sam Putt Lab and we get their data, their putter isn't always an incorrect option for them. So then we can basically talk about what a shaft can do to optimize the equipment they already have. And it's a great selling point for us as fitters because we're able to really dial in something for somebody without having to go full bore into a new putter, because putters are not cheap nowadays.
No.
Average putter is $450.
Yeah. And then you add an aftermarket, a putter shaft or grip, and it's $1,000 putter. But then again, your driver's $1,000 driver, and you use it 14 times a day. So I'd rather have $1,000 putter that I'm, hopefully only using 30 times. Yeah, you good?
So that's basically what I always tell the guys all the time in fits, and I did that actually today. Ended up putting a guy. I wish some more manufacturers could, or I wish manufacturers, and I hope it's coming. I don't know if it is or how possible it is, but a double bend graphite shaft would be wonderful, because there's only one brand out there that I can sell to any of my base balance guys, and that's BGT, because they've got the kind of, it breaks in the middle and you're able to put it over their existing shaft. I would love to see it. I haven't had too many conversations with anybody yet about if it's possible. But I'm assuming some people are out there trying it.
Yes, it's been tried. It's a difficult task. It maybe one day, maybe it's a 2-piece. But I think it'll eventually get there. So that's all it's all I can kind of divulge on that one.
I have a feeling it's in the works, because the shafts in putters have become such a prominent thing, especially on tour. I mean, you got Colin Murakawa and Bryson. I mean, I could probably name 30 guys on tour that are using aftermarket putter shafts, and every manufacturer has gotten into it. It's not just one. If you make driver and iron shafts, you now make graphite putter shafts. I don't think there's a brand that we carry really that doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, even Vic had launched it, I guess, about 9 months ago, kind of right before I started, and he was like, "Oh, I got into the putter shaft," and I was like, "Great!" So I was like, "Let's make some phone calls and let's work with these OEMs and get into their aftermarket upgraded shafts for putters, and because why not? Look at I think that Lab." Even Sick did an incredible job of having aftermarket, availability, but Lab has really set that tone of, upgraded shafts. Obviously Stroke Lab with the Odysseys and all that kind of stuff is there. But it's so prevalent on tour at this point that, it's almost like everybody wants to have it. And we'll see where it goes from there. I mean, double bends, single bends, it's not as easy as it looks, but I think it'll get there at some point.
Yeah, I think the one thing, if I want to give Vic any feedback, we just need a black version of one of the putter shafts. We need a solid black one, because the only hang up I get is that green is bright, my man. That green is bright.
It's an aggressive green. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Black is definitely something that I've pushed as well. To maybe that we get that. I'll say this. It's not out of the question.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, we love VA putter shafts. it's a hard sell sometimes when I bring out the green shaft. The white, not so bad.
No, the
People get a
white's
little
pretty clean.
feeling.
It's cool. I got it in my my lab putter. So, but no, it's pretty. It's a cool. But the green is definitely green.
It's green. It's
Josh
green.
Arndt. Josh Arndt. I'll give a little shout out to him. He loves his green, so he's a guy that would love it. So
Our Oregon guys love it. Anybody that's a
there you
gut
go.
out here, they dig it. But
There you go.
outside of that, if I get a Beaver guy that comes in, he wants a black shaft or orange. Maybe we got to do an badass orange.
Yeah, maybe we'll do we'll take the Woods the badass Woods graphics and stick it on there. There we go.
That would be a good one.
If you go you go to University of Oregon, or Oregon State or whatever, you go sell those. We'll make it happen.
All right. I'll get some guys that are on the hook for them, and we'll have to send an email about how many guys I can sell.
Yeah, there we go. We'll do a little joint venture on that one.
Yeah. So let's kind of dive into VA a little bit. So I don't think a lot of people outside the industry, insiders like ourselves, really know how much of a legend Vic is in the shaft realm. I mean, a lot of tour players and a lot of amateur players that have ever played Tour AD or Oban thank Vic for it, because he's pretty much the reason 90% of their lines exist.
Yeah. No, it's his story's kind of crazy, and amazing at the same time. Starting, I'll go back to the '90s when he was with Graphite Design, and from there he then went and started Oban and got that off the ground and ran with that, and then after that he decided he wanted to go out on his own and do something kind of more fun and more exciting, and partnering with his wife Heather, who does all the design work, and getting into primarily woods, and focusing on the fitting world. I mean, Vic's first, the first thing he'll say to you is, did you get fit for that? Or where'd you get fit? Or, I hope you got fit for that, because that's what he believes. That's what I believe in. I'm, as much as I work for VA, I feel like I still work for Club Champion in the fitting world, because you should go get fit. If you're going to go and spend X amount of dollars, get it done right. You wouldn't buy a suit off the rack if you wanted to fit right. So he started, VA in 2017, partnering with Club Champion and Nick Sherburne, and, a few shafts, and trying to get, some fun designs and fun colors for people to kind of gravitate to. And from there, he's ran with it. I'm amazed at how well he's done. And, he's then kind of gotten, the last couple of years, got into the irons. He had Rajin irons, and then now the Sinister irons and the Badass line, and more to come. We'll say that there might be a extension to the Badass line, and in the near future. Like I said, the 120, Sinister irons, where I'm super excited for. I'm hoping that you guys that kept bugging me and emailing me are going to help me out, so make me look good. But it's about a story, and we talked about it briefly before. I think that a shaft is a story. For a fitter to tell a story when you put something in someone's hands, because they don't know shafts. They know Ventus because it's on TV, or maybe it's Speeder or Fuji, the name. But they don't know why you're putting it in their hands, or where it came from, or what the story is. And so that's part of the sell is, hey, this is why, and this is where it came from. This is the origin. This is Victor Afable designed this, after working at Graphite Design and Oban and starting his own company. And, that's what Club Champion's about is the aftermarket shafts and the upgraded shafts that are fit and tailored towards, certain swings and swing speeds and tempo and all that stuff. I think it's the engine. I know I'm on the shaft side of the business, but, a head's a head. There's lots of different heads out there. A lot of manufacturers make lots of heads, different ones for different kind of players. Every year, we're not making shafts every year or redoing the shafts every year, because we know that they work. and with that said, and I keep saying it's a story, is, I told the story, when I worked at LA Golf, which was a fun story. And now I get to tell the story of Vic and how he created this and how he works with his wife on the design. And, he brought me along, after, being in the business for 4 years and, kind of my expertise of club champion and the aftermarket world. So, I always, and that's the first thing I talk to you guys about when I go around and visit is, why are we sitting here? What's the reason why VA does well? And first off, it has to still do well. It has to still work in the fittings. All I can ask, or all I can want, or all Vic can want, is that he wants it in the bay. Gets in the bay and gets a fair shot, gets a fair shake. The numbers will work. And if they don't, they don't. Again, they're fit for their clubs. So, that's why, we're your partner. And, that's why I try to help you out as much as I can and give you, many lifelines. And when I say you, I say club champion, or you as a fitter, because you need support. And that shaft wall that is out there is large and expanding and growing, and you can't know it all.
It never stops. Like, I swear to God, I turn around and I'm just like, guys, we don't have space. I don't know what you want me to do with this stuff. Like, it just feels like every time I turn around, like, you guys just expanded to the Sinister CB stuff, and I was like, man, all right. I got to rearrange the shaft wall again to start putting in CB in there and take some of the older stuff off that hasn't been working and put them in the shaft bags. And, that's the thing with us fitters. It's a constant rotation on that wall, because depending on, like you were just saying, the shaft is a transmission. I'd say it's the engine and transmission of the golf club, because it's about 70% of the golf club. But what the characteristics that the heads are giving off of every year changes with the new models coming out. And it definitely evolves with what shaft characteristics will work with the new head products that are coming out. So it might be that Ventus worked really, really well for a long time with the last couple years with the products, where we're seeing a little bit of a transition for us, where we're putting everything's lower spinning and lower flight. That's where VA comes in and shines, because you guys maintain low spin on most of your shafts, but you create height. And that's a huge thing. You've got some stuff out there like the Regine. Sinister is also kind of more of a mid-low. But the stuff like Drago and Nemesis and Slay, they're incredibly good for a lot of the new product coming out, because the launch characteristics we're getting off of the actual maintaining lower to mid spin rates for a lot of our faster swingers, it's working out, where we're seeing them beat out some of the more popular shafts that people would put on the market.
Sure. Well, that's been the focus. Like I said, I've been there 6 months, and realizing that as I've gotten deeper into kind of the profiles and kind of the idea of is get the ball up in the air. And honestly, I have the Nemesis in my fairway woods, and it works. I'm amazed at how well it works. And a lot more people need get the ball up in the air because they can barely get it up in the air. So people don't have the swing speeds, and this allows us to have lighter weight stuff that gets the ball up in the air, and again, low spin for the most part.
It's great for us here in Oregon, because the one conversation we have in the Bay all the time is that carry is king out here. We don't get rollout. Right. Where if you're down in Texas, Arizona, Southern California, it's dry most of the time. You're going to get rollout. It's more hard pan. Where the minute we get like a 3-month window where everything dries up and it gets really hard for us, and then it gets really soft again. So we sell a ton of VA out here because it maximizes people's carry.
Yeah.
It's them in the proper launch angle where we can keep the ball in the air longer. And it's a big selling point for us. And like we were talking about, the badass shafts for the irons are probably our best selling iron shafts on the graphite side. Just because, one, price point's fantastic on them. But I don't fit based off price point. I fit off of what works best for my customer that I'm fitting in the bay at that time. So I put stuff, it doesn't matter price point, unless I get a customer that's really trying to get to a certain level. But, badass is something I can put in even if somebody is at a little bit more of a budget friendly, budget conscious kind of thing, because it's not going to blow people out of the water. But it launches high. You guys have an incredible amount of different weights, flexes, and everything that we can play with as fitters. That's the biggest thing that we can ask for is options.
Yeah.
So the one thing I would like to see a little bit more, and this is something I think I need to chat with Nick Sherburne about a little bit, 55 extra stiffs.
You're the second person. You're the second person this week that said something to me about that.
We want them in the bay so bad, and I cannot yell at Nick more about getting us some for the wall. Like we were talking about, we have too many shafts already. It's hard for Nick to be like, okay, I'm going to send out 150 plus demos of another shaft, but there's such a big demographic that fits in a 55 extra stiff, and you guys have them available. I just got to yell at Nick to get them here.
Well, that's what we've seen. And, I guess I have a question for you, but what I've seen and what I've heard from Nick Sherburne and, being in the business is people are going lighter and stiffer.
Yes.
And it sounds like, I don't even have to ask the question really, is that, is that what you're seeing, or is that the trend that you guys see, from what's working?
For me particular, I just transitioned everything lighter. So I went from a 65 to a 55 in my driver. I went to a 60 gram in my woods, 70 gram in my hybrids, and I'm playing 85, and then 95 in my wedges. So, I've transitioned lighter. It's mainly because head weight of things have gotten much heavier.
Right.
Drivers are much heavier. Woods are much heavier. And so it allows me to get to a better swing weight than I could if I was utilizing a heavier shaft, because you can only get so light with a 120 gram shaft.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
There's also guys out there where I get somebody in the bay that swings 90 to 95 miles an hour with a 6-iron, that going to a 105 or lighter doesn't keep them on plane enough.
Yeah.
So still having that 120 option, I truthfully think 130s are going to be abolished here very soon.
Swinging those, I don't know how people would play, another round after you play around with those, man. Again, everybody thinks that that's what they're supposed to be doing. They probably think the DJ's playing a 90 gram driver shaft too. That's not the case. And so, we've seen that too. The irons, I think you'll still have the guys playing the 120s, but definitely the drivers in the woods. People don't want to work as hard anymore. And that sounds like kind of like, oh, they're lazy, but it's not that. It's just that, it's a lot of swings. It's, you're out there playing golf and you want to enjoy it and not feel exhausted after your round.
And you want to let the technology do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You used to have to go heavier to create stiffness. That's not the case anymore. Mm-hmm. We can be in a 55. We've got brands on the wall where I've got stiff 35 gram shafts now.
Those are tough to make too.
They're not cheap either.
No.
Mitsubishi's got some shafts out there that are in the 500 to 600 range, which are absolutely ridiculous in price point. But
yeah,
that 55, we're now able to get them to tour extra stiff kind of realms. And like you were talking about, distance is a big thing in golf right now. I mean, for me as a fitter, dispersion is the most important thing, but you're going to get so many guys coming in for driver fits that they're just like, I want to hit the ball 20 yards further. Well,
you got to swing faster.
Yeah. But what we can do as fitters to assist that is go lighter. And you can swing a little faster if we are able to go lighter.
Well, I think that's, what I've seen the last 4 years since COVID is the driver heads getting more forgiveness, as obviously they've pushed a lot more because people can't hit it further unless you're swinging faster or, you said, hitting a lighter shaft. And so, dispersion is much more important than it was, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. And, getting people bigger, these big numbers just isn't attainable. Or they've gotten equipment in the last 2 or 3 years and you can't beat it, or you can beat it in dispersion or attack angle or, spin rate, but you can't necessarily hit the ball that much further. No. And so that's what I've seen. And I'm sure you've seen it too, is, people are trying to, tighten everything up instead of trying to, outswing themselves, Bryson it out there.
It's the newer golfers want to Bryson it. It's the guys that have been in the game long enough that understand that finding fairways and finding greens are what gets you to score better. So it's fun as a fitter to kind of see like the COVID golfer and the guy that's gone through it over the last 20 years and what their goals are and what they're trying to obtain. And, it's sometimes I have to be a therapist and kind of talk those newer COVID golfers kind of out of like, no, course management, finding fairways, finding greens, those are going to get you to play better golf. Bomb and gouge is only going to work so much. And even bomb and gouge, you got to be somewhat accurate. Like when Bryson goes
you have some touch too around that green. So, what I've seen is, you made a good point. We'll call them COVID golfers, and they'll be COVID golfers forever. They're not that they're not educated; they're just new to the game, so they're not as educated. So they're coming to you, and this whole fitting thing for them is, they've been buying clubs, or if they even bought clubs ever. They've spent very little money, and so they're coming in and thinking that price is this, or there's these 3 options, and your job as a fitter has gotten, I think harder in that sense of dealing with that kind of customer that doesn't really understand and isn't as in the know. They just like playing golf and picked up playing golf. That's one of the things that, Vic and I and our team were talking about the other day, and I've been talking with Nick for years, is the education side of what you guys do and what aftermarket shafts are and different grips and all that kind of stuff is the education side of, teaching people and telling people all the way down to the junior level, to the ladies, to anybody, and everybody should be fit. If they feel that they're hitting the ball consistently enough and ready to invest in their time, which is, valuable these days, get fit and do it and spend the money, because that's where you're spending your time. I'm big, like I said, I think getting fit is actually fun and exciting. You learn a lot about it. But, going into it, a lot of people don't know what they're getting themselves into. So, yeah. So you guys that job is not an easy part of your job.
There's a lot of misinformation in the golf industry going around now as well. And, this isn't to drive by shoot places like My Golf Spy and Golf WRX and those places. I don't want to ruin any relationship you might have with them, but I'm banned from a lot of their message boards because I like to go in there and debunk some of the information that's being spread around, especially about fitting. A lot of people don't think that paying us for our time and what we integrate into the fitting process should be had. You shouldn't have to pay for a fitting. You should just be able to come in, get fit, and pay for the golf clubs. Where, like you were just talking about, it's not necessarily just us getting you clubs. It's the education side of it that also comes along with it. Like a full bag fitting is 3.5 hours, but we're not hitting balls for 3.5 hours. I'm stopping you. I'm explaining why something is working. I'm explaining why we're choosing this shaft, why we're going to transition into a different, level of shafts and different style, or we're changing head lofts, adjusting different things on the cog to be able to open or close the face and change the dynamics of the actual club. And all of that is so educational and can help a golfer understand their game a lot more. We also go over all the TrackMan numbers. We're explaining to them why you hit a wipey fade, why you pull the ball to oblivion. When you go bang balls in the range, you're losing your mind because you can't understand or see why you're doing it. And we educate guys in that aspect, and we're not trying to get people to change their swings, and we don't teach people swings. Like I am a guy.
That's not your goal at all.
No, I'm an equipment junkie. I know equipment, and I know it more than most people. I will toot my own horn, but it's just pointing people in the right direction of where they need to go. And that's why we also partner with PGA pros and things like that. So we can be in a full encompassing of their golf game. I've got partners that work with people's swings. And then when they know that they need equipment, they send them to me. I dial equipment, and then I send them back over to them. And that partnership is so cohesive and it works so well that people that work with us in that aspect have grown their game immensely. And when people understand that there's equipment guys and there's swing guys, and the mix of the two should have died in 1999 with, PGA pros, some of these guys that are aging out need to understand the good old days are gone.
They are gone. The world is different. And steel shafts and drivers are not a thing anymore.
No, and getting fit in one brand is not going to be the end all be all with the stock shaft options. Like if this is your true passion and hobby, you're going to come and get fit by somebody like us to be able to have all of the options, make sure that we're in the right thing, and be introduced to some new equipment that you might not have ever heard of. And I love being able to tell VA's story on a daily basis, where the mom and pop shop that the wife designs graphics and the husband designs amazing shafts, and people eat that up.
They do. And your team, the world that you're in, you guys are doctors, you're psychologists, whatever doctor hat you have to put on that day. Because they're your guy or gal for however long they're playing golf, and you want them to come back, and you want their friends to come back, and you give them the right experience and show them and give them product that works. That's what you're creating. You're creating that, you're the realtor, you're their dentist. And so you're creating a lifelong relationship that will, continue. And that's why they're coming to you. They're coming to you because they need help in whatever aspect that is. I always think people are like, oh, the guy's price conscious, or he doesn't want to spend that or whatever. I was like, he doesn't know what he wants or what he needs. That's why he's coming to you. Don't be afraid to put something in his hand that might work. Now, you don't have to sell him, the most expensive heads and the most expensive shaft, but he's there to have an experience and be shown the product that's out there on the floor. Don't be afraid to put something in someone's hands that is too expensive or not something that they were expecting. Look at what Lab has done, and I'm a big fan of them. They took a long time to get to where they are, and they had a ridiculous looking putter, and then another smaller putter that didn't really work. Didn't work because they didn't look right. Now they worked from a functionality point, but people couldn't get over that. So what they do, they went back to the drawing board, and the last couple of putters they put out have been phenomenal, and they work, and they're on tour, and they win. And that's an amazing story. And they are out kicking their coverage left and right. And it's awesome. It doesn't happen every day.
No,
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Oh, I mean, Lab, us being in the backyard of Lab Golf, has been so beneficial for us. Like, we're the only fitting studio that has an arm lock, that has the broomstick, that has every option that they have, because they're an hour and a half down the road from us. So, we're able to work with them in close relations, and to be able to see them grow in our backyard. And, I don't think a lot of people realize how much of a mecca Oregon, the state, is for golf equipment. We've got Lab Golf here. Edel was born in Oregon as well. They're now in Texas, but we've got Mackenzie golf bags, Jones golf bags, Seamus golf. Like, people don't realize, that Oregon has so much great golf stuff. BB&F Farrells is out of Roseburg here in Oregon.
I did not know that. Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick's in Roseburg now.
Okay.
Yeah, he moved back home.
That's an amazing story too. I mean, what a simple concept. It's funny you mentioned that too, and I think the part of the fitting side that maybe gets lost to a certain extent, and we as golf junkies, I guess you call it, or lucky enough to be in the business and have things at our access, have fun with the fitting. Have fun with building your set of clubs that you get to go and show off to your friends. From BB&F Farrells to number one grips to ionic grips or whatever you want to put on your shaft or your stamping. These are yours. They're custom for you. I think that itself is what people want too. It's a showpiece. It's fun, and honestly, I think that PXG created that to a certain extent. Is hey, we're going to make something expensive and something that's cachet or whatever you want to call it, has created that kind of like insanity when it comes to custom Scotty Camerons or it's something that you get to show off every time you pull out of your bag. And that's changed in this business in the last 10 years immensely, and COVID catapulted all that.
And you'll have to talk to Connor and Ryan, the other fitters, that they always know it's my set that I ordered that comes in, because if it has graphite shafts, BB&Fs, and either like Gripmaster grips or number ones or something off the wall, they know I fit that person. Because if you're coming in for a custom fitting, I'm going to go, I'm going to lean as custom as possible. I mean, you might as well. These are your tools. You're going to be playing with them for a long time, and you might as well customize them to be something that you're in love with, and that you're going to be passionate about playing with for the long haul. And I think that's where, I think a lot of these custom shafts, especially in the graphite realm, have gotten people to be a little bit more creative. Like, if I fit somebody in a set of regime shafts for their irons, why would you put a black ferrule on those? Those are pretty shafts, man. You got to get on BB&F, and we got to find a ferrule that matches the shafts.
Exactly. In get and go, like I said, number one grips or ionic, and get some fun colors, man, and have fun with it. You're spending X amount of dollars, so you know what? Go show your buddies, because then your buddies are going to be jealous and they're going to want to do it too. So you as salesmen, it's part of that upsell, but it's why they're in there. That's why they're there. They could go and get it from anywhere else, but Why?
I don't feel like I'm upselling them though. That's the one thing. I think that's the one thing anybody that gets fit by me can see how passionate I am and how stoked I am when I get to do the extent of what I'm available or able to do. When I'm pigeonholed into a certain price point, and it's still fun for me, and I'm able to get a little bit more creative to try to fit those prices. And that's a enjoyable thing. But when I get a guy that comes in and he goes, I want the best and I want it to look the best, my face lights up, because that means I get to do what I do.
It's not even, you're right. It's not an upsell. It's showing something that they didn't know that they didn't know about, the BB&F or it's the other side of the business past the fitting side of it is, the custom club side of it. They're your clubs. They're, stamped with your initials or whatever you want to put it, or your kids' names on it. So
it's one of my favorite parts about it. And I mean, you guys, and you could tell Vic, the creativity that his wife has with the designs on the shafts gives me more creativity when I'm building them. So other than getting me a black putter shaft, don't tone it down. When it comes to I want to see the Sinister shaft get a full splatter print across the entirety of the shaft.
Okay.
I think that would be sweet.
I'll write that one down. I'll send Vic an email on that one.
Yeah, let him know. I want a tie-dye Sinister iron shaft, full boat.
There you go. We'll do a custom run for Halloween or something.
I like it. I actually saw the Halloween shaft that you got.
Oh yeah. Jack's got one.
That was a pretty sweet shaft.
Yeah. I saw his and I was like, I want one.
Yeah, Jack's likes that bespoke stuff. If you're gonna see anybody with something somebody doesn't have, it's gonna be Jack.
Good for him.
Yeah. Well,
but hey, this was awesome. I guess we're up on an hour, and we got kids to tuck in probably, but keep in mind, like, if there's something you need or what you said earlier about the 55 extra stiff, that's good information. And we strive to get better every day and help you guys. So whatever I can do, keep me in the loop.
We will. I think me and Connor try to be a little hesitant because we have like laundry lists of things that we ask for, and Nick is probably tired of hearing from us about things that we think we need and Nick doesn't think we need. So I might have to send some stuff directly to you, and maybe you can kind of slide it under his radar through the back end for us.
Please do. It's one less email he needs anyways.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't need any more from us fitters. That's for sure. All right, Tyler. Well, thank you, my man, for coming on. It was a pleasure talking with you. And, I think everybody's going to enjoy this episode and get a little bit more information. And the goal of this episode, guys, get fit. That's what we're trying to tell you. Get in, get fit. I work for Club Champion, but I'm also going to respect some of our competitors. If you don't have a Club Champion in your backyard, which I'm going to tell you, you probably do we're above 140 stores now. But if you don't, you'll probably be able to run into some of our competitors that also do a very good job, not as good as Club Champion, but very good job. Get in and get fit. Don't go to your big box store. Please stop getting fit at big box stores, and get fit by a true fitter that knows what he's doing and has the options for you. And make sure that they have VA as one of those options.
Yes, sir. Well, hey, Chris, this was awesome, man. We'll talk soon, buddy.
Yes, sir. I can't wait.
All right, man.
Later, buddy.
Talk to you later. You have a good night.